that and just second the housekeeping on the Facebook group if you're not in there yet. Let me let that connect before I close it. Okay. Yeah, I could get on a whole like soapbox about, welcoming you guys and how excited we are and all the things that we're hoping to, receive from this, but just welcome. I'm going to keep it short because we want to get to Dr. Slade as quickly as possible here. And a couple other things we're going to use. So that's number one. Um, no, or number one is for people that are joining us today, I've been doing a Zoom every Saturday morning on this ID number, this Zoom number for years. And so there may be some people who have kind of checked out, haven't been on vacation or whatever, and you're here this morning wondering what's going on. We're starting a 6-week course with Dr. Slade, the core, unlocking your core potential. And, and so we'll talk a little bit more about the details of that here in just a sec. But if you're on, you're welcome to stay on this time. I've had some people text me this morning, hey, can I get in on that still? And I said, yeah, just join the Zoom and we'll go over that this morning, how you can join us. And, if it's something that's for you, then, we're going to show you how you can join us. Because next week, you guys will receive a different ID number and login to where we go into more of a private one that won't be accessible. And the normal Zoom that I do every Saturday will not be being done. So people who check into that, it's not even going to allow them in because I'm not going to open that Zoom. We're going to open up a whole different new Zoom ID number. So be watching for that for next week. Don't get caught by surprise. And they'll be sending out, a text and an email, or is it just an email, Carrie? Okay. So for those of you, let me share my screen here, that want to opt in for that. This is the QR code. You can opt in right now with that if you want. It's $25 for the program. And then as soon as you sign up or go to this link, it will pop up a screen that will give you the option for, there's 2 different books that are available as far as the format. One's an electronic version, and then you can also order a hard copy. And then you could get the book as well, Dr. Slade's book. So that's how you can opt in, and you'll get as soon as you do that, you'll get the new ID for next week to be able to continue to join us. We have a Facebook group that we're Zooming into so that you can catch the recordings if you're not on live. And there's a lot that's going to be going on in there throughout the week. All right. So again, I could go, if I'm leaving something out, Carrie, you can pick it up when I toss it over to you. I want to go over one more thing that's really important to me. And that is, I want you real quick, if you have a pencil and paper, I want you to take this real quick belief evaluation, because I want to check in at the end, write down these things right here while I'm talking. I want you to write down these 5 categories. And I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Where do you believe you're at in these 5 areas? 1 being the worst and 10 is the best. Like that's the dream came true. So the belief in yourself, where are you at in your belief in yourself? Just don't make it too complicated. Just write down, a scale of 1 to 10. Confidence in yourself and your ability to lead other people and your self-esteem. Where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10? And while you're writing those down, I want to retake this evaluation at the end of at the last course, whether that's 6 weeks, give or take a few. And then we're going to have you post those in the Facebook group where you were when you started. So make sure you keep this somewhere where you'll be able to refer to it, because I want you to take this again at the end of the 6 weeks. And I want to see the growth that you have in these areas at the end of those 6 weeks. That's going to be really important for me. And so belief in yourself, confidence in yourself, and your ability, your self-esteem, and your ability to lead other people. Or actually, that's the next one. So just confidence in myself. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Confidence in myself, what your self-esteem is. And then your ability to lead other people. So those are a little bit different. This could be a different number than this one. Your ability, your confidence in yourself, could be how I show up in the world, how I show up for other people, my family, just your confidence in yourself, your posture, your ability to lead other people. Maybe you've never had the opportunity to lead other people, so it might be low. There's no right or wrong answer. I just want to see the growth that we have through this 6-week course. So what is your ability to lead other people on a scale of 1 to 10? Example I am to my family, And you just internalize that however you internalize that. I just want to see where the growth is on there over this 6 weeks. And then your belief in other people and their ability to succeed and their ability to be great and their ability to grow and become more, and belief in those that you work with, those people that you're around, humanity, however you want to look at that, your belief in other people. All right, so thanks for doing that. I'll bring this back up again right here for those that need to see that. And then take a picture of that. Again, if you want to opt in, it's $25 for the course, which is, if you've missed, the whole deal about that, this is a pilot program, and we're so grateful for Dr. Slade to be able to offer it to us in this pilot program. It'll never be offered like this again. This is like a $3,000 value. So there's that there. And so if you're on this Saturday and you don't know what's going on and you want to opt in, you're welcome to stay on today and then decide if you want to do it, but at least take a picture of this with your phone so that you can opt in if it's something you decide you want to do after this first week. Okay, Carrie, I'm going to toss it over to you. If there's any clarification on any of that, please make those.
All right. Sorry, I did. I don't have much to say. I just want to re-emphasize the Facebook group. If you have not yet requested to join the Facebook group, you should have received a text with a link to do that.
Carrie, hold on. Let me mute everybody out. I forgot to do that. And then you'll have to unmute yourself as soon as I do that because it'll mute you out. Okay. And one other thing, if you're grateful for Dr. Slade to do this, put a 2 in the comments, like show some gratitude to Dr. Slade. And if you're enjoying his book, throw a 2 in the comments. Will I let you unmute? Okay, let me see what's going on here.
I got it. Yes, the Facebook group. You should have received a text with a link to join the Facebook group if you have not yet done that. That will be where in between, well, that's where the call is going to be recorded and saved. If anybody misses the call or if you'd like to rewatch the call, that's where that will be. And then also the juice that happens in between the conversations about the information will happen in the group. So a lot of the internalization can be enhanced when you are participating in that group. So I want to emphasize that. And then if for some reason you haven't been receiving the emails, please check your junk mail. Sometimes when we're sending to a group at a time, sometimes your email will flag it as junk. So if you'll save the email address to your contacts, that will keep that from happening. A lot of the communication will be done, not always via text. A lot of the communication is done via email, excuse me. And if you prefer a text, if you will let's see. Well, you all should have received the text this morning because that's how I sent it. So respond to that and tell us if you'd prefer to do text instead of email. Otherwise, please make sure that you are receiving the emails. And that is all I have to say for housekeeping. And so I'm just going to turn the time over to Dr. Slade.
One more thing, Dr. Slade, as you begin here, there may be some people on here. I think most people have seen the YouTube video that we passed out and opted in that way, but maybe just in a 1-minute brief before you get started, what your vision is for the next 6 weeks and kind of how much time are they expected to be on the Zoom and that kind of thing. Just, 1 minute, quick overview on that, and then we'll go.
Great. Well, welcome everybody. I'm super excited for this pilot program. Something that we've kind of been batting around for quite a while now, and I'm thrilled that you're here. And I'll just give you a little bit of a background too. For those of you that are unaware, CORE is my personality profiling system that I've been working on for the last 10 years. And we'll get into a little bit about what temperament is, but in this 6-week program, we're going to be doing a deep dive into, today we're going to be going over the 4 temperament types. And giving you a good overview of what they look like and what motivates them a little bit. And then over the next 5 weeks, we'll be getting into specifics that will really help you in your businesses and in your relationships. And we'll be talking about motivation and planning and leading and just helping you be able to really embrace who you are and your ability to be you. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. And
while you're pulling up your screen, I want to also, I don't think the coaches were able to be on today, but there is a team of core coaches that have been added to the Facebook group and will be joining some of the calls. I think one of them was stuck on an airplane this morning and a dance competition and things. But as they're on or coming into the Facebook group, just to know that who they are when, and they'll maybe make some comments on some of the calls. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
Yeah, and you'll see we have 4 core coaches that are trained and certified and super awesome. We have a C coach and an O coach, an R coach, and an E coach. Carrie is our C coach, and many of you know her. She's super awesome and what, I don't know how to say that, symbolizes or embodies the what the C is really well, and is a super great source of understanding how to be a healthy C and how that looks in life. Camille Kinnitzer is in Texas, and she is our O coach, and she'll be interacting and you'll be able to get to know her a little bit as well. And then Charla Barrowman is our O coach or our R coach, and she lives up in northern Utah. And then Rachel Slade is actually my daughter, and she's our E coach, and she'll be joining and working as well. So here we go with ISACORE level 1, class 1. That's what we're calling this. Woohoo! So bienvenidos, and I'm super excited that you're here. I welcome you and want you to participate as much as possible. The format that we'll have on here is that we'll do about an hour of instruction and education. There will be some interaction during that time, and then we'll have lots of time at the end as well. We're planning on about 90 minutes for these, and we'll do a lot of question and answer and helping you. So if you have questions that we don't have time to get to as we go through the first part of it, please jot those down. If you feel like there's something that's really burning or urgent, I would rather have you interrupt, and some of you may be more comfortable doing that than others. But I want you to be able to get the help that you need, and I want you to be able to really understand this. So one of the main things and that is really important about all of this is that you cannot give what you don't have. Just a law of human nature. You can't give something that you don't have. And so, and that applies to who you are as well. You can't give yourself, you can't give the best of you if you're not tapped into your strengths and what you uniquely bring to society. And Carrie, will you kind of monitor the chat and see if there's any, make sure I don't miss anything as we go through? Thanks. What you're doing is a really hard job. And it becomes exponentially more difficult if you don't recognize the value that you uniquely bring to the table. And that's one of the things that, again, as Dave and Carrie and I talked, is we really want you to be able to recognize the unique value, and Dave's questions that he's going to have us answer at the end here are just spot on, because we want you being you. You'll never be as good trying to be somebody else as you will be being a healthy version of yourself. So by learning about some of the aspects of the unique and unalterable aspects of your temperament, you can more powerfully support and empower yourself and the other members of your team. Temperament. So what's the difference between temperament and personality? Temperament is a set of characteristics and traits that we come into life with. it is the nature part of you. It is the innate part that you come into life with. We talked a little bit about a couple of weeks ago. There are 9 temperament variables that have been identified in the literature that infants come into life high or low on, and temperament does not change across the lifespan. And personality is the combination of your temperament, or the nature part of you, and the nurture or environmental factors that help to combine into your personality and form your primary and your secondary temperament types. And so core, all right. We want to help you tap into the power of you and unlock your core. So we're gonna start with the C. How many of you put a 1, Dave? Is that how we do it? Put a 1 in the chat if you're a primary C.
If you're a C, put in a C. Put in a.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, then we'll realize.
Yeah.
It's fun to
Put
see
in
in the Facebook group too, all of the different, from people taking the assessment, where they're at. It's really cool. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. It is fun. So, and also, so if you are a C, or if you are in a relationship with a C, this is we're going to do a deep dive into who you are. C stands for comfort and connection. C's are the feelers in our society, and this comfort equals settled down there at the bottom. This idea of settlement is the main driver in the C brain. When things become unsettled emotionally, it's really discombobulating for the C. And most everything that the C does on a very subconscious level, he or she does, trying to get things settled emotionally and to keep things settled emotionally. You know, when the silt gets stirred up in a lake or a pond, that's how the C brain works when things become unsettled emotionally, and it feels like that. It feels really chaotic, and the C desperately wants the sands to settle and to get nice and relaxed again at the bottom there. And I'm up in Bountiful. I live in St. George, but our second daughter Sydney graduated from BYU on Thursday and got engaged yesterday, and so we've been up north having a good time this weekend. But my allergies are a little bit bad. I probably shouldn't be outside, so hopefully my voice will hold up. I may end up having to move. Comfort is what drives the C, making themselves and others feel comfortable. Almost everything that the C does, they do trying to be comfortable and trying to avoid being uncomfortable. C's are naturally plugged into the rich emotional texture around them. They feel things, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, but they feel things that other people don't feel. Just like some people can smell things that other people can't smell, and some people can hear things that other people can't hear. C's have an ability to feel things that other people are completely unaware of, and so they're very in tune with the emotional texture that's going on around them. Sorry, I'm trying to move my screen a little bit here. I can't. There we go. Predictability or knowing what to expect is really important for the C. They don't like to be caught off guard, and so a C will typically structure their days so they have plenty of time to smoothly run and transition from one event to the next. They typically won't pack things in back to back. They like their day, just like this river. They like their day to flow smoothly, and so why? Because when something happens that is unexpected, it feels uncomfortable, right? It's a little bit disorganizing, And so predictability in relationships, predictability in their routines, predictability in knowing that they're going to be able to know what to expect is really important to the C brain. The second variable in comfort is thought out. C's very rarely say or do anything without thinking through it first. These are not people that pop off. They have a really good filter between their brains and their mouths. And this becomes really important relationally because see, we tend to, as human beings, we tend to think that other people do things for more or less the same reasons that we do them. And so where a C rarely says or does anything without meaning it, there are other temperament types that you'll see in a little bit, mainly R's and O's that are not so careful in like an R. Almost everything that comes into the R brain comes out of the R mouth. And so a lot of times when C's are in relationships with other temperament types and they pop off, then they tend to think that it has the same kind of meaning that it would have if they were doing that. And so ironically, when a C says something, you can put a lot of stock in it because they've likely thought it out very well. They've thought about how they want to present it. They rarely say things that they don't mean. Things have meaning, words have meaning, actions have meaning. C's tend to observe. They, in a social situation, C's will typically kind of situate themselves where they can survey the room, survey the scene. They like to take things in. They like to get a feel for the lay of the land. And they tend to notice and observe a lot of what's going on. I do a lot of Skype or Zoom sessions with people all over the place. And C's will observe and notice things that my other clients won't even notice. A lot of times if something is moved in my office, the C's will notice because coaching is kind of a heightened emotional situation, and so C's tend to notice what's going on. Balance and fairness is also really important to the C brain. Why? Because they don't want people to feel uncomfortable. And when things are out of balance or when things are unfair, it feels it's uncomfortable. And C's feel that discomfort and try to avoid it. Labor. C's are very willing to put effort into things and to show up for people. There's also a general worry sometimes about things not working out. This is one of the main differences between a healthy C and an unhealthy C. A healthy C will very proactively work to make things comfortable. These are C's will typically not just pop in a video and sit down. If a C is going to watch a show, they'll typically pop popcorn. They'll get in their favorite jammies. They'll get their favorite blanket. They are willing to labor or to put effort in order to make a situation comfortable. And that happens in all aspects. They're also really willing to show up, to be there. On the unhealthy side, sometimes a C can become so consumed with avoiding discomfort that they're kind of constantly looking for the snake in the grass that's going to make them feel uncomfortable. And that's a very different emotional process if you're trying to create something that you want versus trying to avoid something that you want to avoid. This is another really great aspect of the C brain. C's are easygoing. When a C is going out to eat with a group of people, they rarely will will speak up about where to go. And a lot of times, depending on your temperament, you might think that this is a big sacrifice to the C, but what is important and what drives the C is everybody else being comfortable. And so the win for the C isn't going to the restaurant that they want to go to. The win for the C is deferring to what somebody else wants to do. The only time that becomes really problematic is if it becomes really imbalanced. And if there are things that are really important that we're going to get into in just a minute, that are really important that C's need in a relationship, but getting their way is not one of them. And as long as a C is getting the things that they need out of a relationship, then deferring to where somebody wants to go eat or what somebody wants to do is actually a win. It's not a sacrifice. It's actually a win for the C. Details. C's are very detail focused and notice details if they have an emotional component. This is kind of an interesting process. If you are a C or if you watch C's, they can be really oblivious of some details that are really obvious. But if there's an emotional component, they notice details a lot. And they're willing to fuss over details, kind of like in order to make things comfortable. Like I said about the movie, that they're willing to fuss over details to make things comfortable for themselves and for others. Carrie's a good example. Her office is in our office complex or in our office building, and she frequently is bringing in little things for our staff or for different people. If she hears that somebody likes something, she notices that and she buys it or brings it in. And those kind of thoughtful details, C's are really wonderful to have in your life because of this. They connection is the second main motivator for the C, and more than any other type, C's want deep, meaningful connection. They want to feel seen. They want to feel soothed. They want to feel safe. And this many times C's will feel invisible in social situations. Even though it is of utmost importance for a C to feel seen and understood, and they want to matter. They want all of them to matter. Everybody wants to matter. Every human being has this fundamental need to matter. But for a C, it's magnified. It's they don't want to just be noticed for their bodies or for their income or for their looks or whatever. They want to be noticed and seen for who they are. But a C will not fight to be seen normally. And consequently, this variable can sometimes lead to a sense of mind reading and a desire to have other people want to mind read, I guess, and know what's going on inside of them. It's this iceberg is a perfect example. With the C, this is about what you see. About, I don't know, maybe a tenth, maybe less of what you see on the surface is what's really going on. C's are very internal in their processing, and there's a lot going on under the surface. And so in order to be seen like they want to be seen, then they've got to be open, right? If you're a C, you've got to be willing to share. One of the golden rules of communication is to say what you mean and to mean what is and to believe what is said. Say what you mean, believe what is said. And it can be really difficult for C's to say what they mean. It can also be difficult for C's to believe what somebody else says, because you can imagine if you're not a C, if you've got all of this stuff going on under the surface, then the C brain is automatically going to assume that the other person has a lot that's going on under the surface as well. And so it's hard to believe that this little bit that you see above the surface is actually, all there is to the picture. And so if you want to be a healthy C, it's really important that you be willing to be open. And that brings us to one of the most important things that I would like you to take from this variable if you are a C. In order to be seen, you have to risk. Safety, feeling safe, feeling a sense of love and belonging is one of the very most important things in a relationship. And safety is not the same as lack of risk. One of the things that I say is, nobody's with me today, but if I had one of you with me and I said, okay, stand up here on this table and fall backwards and I'll catch you. And I promise you, I'll catch you. At what point would you feel safe with me? Would you feel safe when I said, hey, I promise you I'll do it? No, you wouldn't feel safe then. Would you feel safe if you thought, he can probably catch me? No, you wouldn't even feel safe if you believed that I would be able to. You would not feel safe until you had jumped and I had safely caught you. Safety is a relational variable. You cannot feel safe alone. And I hope that makes sense. Safe is something that we feel with somebody. And so in order to feel and to know that we're safe with somebody, you have to risk. You have to let them in. You have to be vulnerable. Carrie, were you going to say something?
Yeah. Could you clarify something that I feel like is important? Because earlier you talked about intentional and how C's say what they mean. And then now here we're saying we don't always say everything under the surface. And so I think maybe, well, I know for C's too, but for people in relationship with the C, how does that, if somebody says something, maybe it's not all of what they mean. Can you clarify that?
Yes. Yeah. So good question. So yes, this little bit that sticks out of the surface is intentional. And they're not going to accidentally stick something out of the surface. They're not going to accidentally say something that they don't mean to say. And there's a whole lot going on under the surface that typically isn't said. Does that make sense, Carrie? Am I answering that?
Yeah, I think so. And then, so sometimes what even if you mean what you're saying, it isn't always clear to the person listening if you're only going to give them 10% of what you mean, type of it.
Right. Yeah. Well, one of the things that I do with people in my office is I'll show them a picture and I'll just have a tiny little piece of the picture exposed. And if you only have a little bit of the picture and you're trying to understand what the whole picture is about, it's really difficult to accurately interpret the picture. And that's kind of what happens here. If you're a C and you desperately want to be seen, then you've got to be willing to show the whole picture. You've got to be willing to risk the exposure of letting somebody in, or they're not going to accurately see you. And that's really scary for a C and imperative. Dave.
And that would be a healthy C that does that, right? They realize, hey,
exactly.
That's scarier for me than it is for most people, but I'm going to do the risk because I now understand that.
Yes.
That's typically what would hold me back, but now I'm empowered to go through that. And can I just interject one other thing here?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. No, finish your thought because it's not related to that.
I was just going to say one of the things that helps me in a moment, because I feel like I'm a lot healthier than I once was. And when I'm afraid to speak, I just remember that it's the part that was under the ocean that sunk the Titanic. So anyway.
Yeah. I love that. What you said about the table and you don't feel like it's not scary until you're caught. That was really good. I love that example. And if you're a C and you can totally relate on both spectrums, the healthy and unhealthy, put a 1 in if you're a C. And I can relate to what you're saying. I have some C, but not very much probably. and I just wanted to say here for people that are attending, a lot of us are doing, we have our own business and we're working with other people. Like, if you're like me, you're like, well, get to me, talk about me, right?
Yes.
But I'm taking a lot of notes on these other areas so that I know how to work with other people. So don't negate these parts. If you're not a C and you're building a business, you're going to want to know how to work with people who are C's. So you would want to know more about them than you really do your letters that are you, so that you can
Absolutely.
connect with those people.
Super good point. Yeah, because if you're leading, if you're in a position of leadership and you're leading a team or you're leading a group, then they're motivated differently. And our default is to try to motivate and try to lead how we would want to be led and what works for us.
Guilty.
But if you, yeah, well, we all are. But if you're trying to motivate and lead a C and you don't understand what motivates them and how their brains work, you're not going to be able to get the most out of them without understanding how to do this. And so
they'll just close up, right?
Exactly. Yeah. They'll close that little part of the iceberg will become smaller and smaller, and there will just be more under the surface that you don't have access to.
Yeah. Leah said in the comments, and this is really good stuff. I love this. It seems a C shows enough to cause people to want to go deeper into knowing them.
Ideally, yes. That's what you want, right? And you just have to recognize, oh, it sounds like the neighbor just let their dog out. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. And so if you understand that as a C, which you probably do, how badly you want to feel seen and safe with somebody. And then if you understand that the mechanism for obtaining that is by allowing yourself to be seen, it's really powerful to be able to do that. You can't have one without the other. I might have to go inside.
It's okay. It's not too disruptive, so I'll let you know if it is.
Okay, thanks. This is one of the greatest, I don't know, benefits of the C in my mind. C's are very sensitive, which is good and bad. They're very naturally in tune with emotions. When a C goes into a room, it's like they are drinking out of an emotional fire hydrant. They feel so many things that other people don't feel. And they will notice these things. And so C's are typically the people that will really take time to show up for you. I want to share an experience. Some of you know, but we lost a son 15 years ago. And my dad is a C, and we lived in Texas at the time. And we lost him to a horrible accident. And he was 14 months old. And when I was, at some point, I'm going to be able to talk about this without, when I was in the ambulance on the way to the hospital with my son, I called my dad. And told him what was going on. And his reaction was, I'll be right there. And he lived in Bountiful, Utah. That was a 14-hour car drive. And my mom told me that he immediately went into his room, started throwing stuff in a bag, and was getting in the car to come. And she said, slow down. She said, we can get there faster if we take a flight. But that is what you get from a C. C's are willing to show up. And they did. My parents were there immediately. A few months after that, they uprooted their lives and moved to Texas to be with us, and were and continue to be an incredible support. If you are a C, I really want you to understand what a gift that is to the people around you. And if you're not willing to expose yourself, if you're not willing to risk in order to give that, you are robbing the people in your life of one of the most beneficial things that you have to offer humanity. And so give yourself an opportunity to feel safe and give those around you an opportunity to benefit from what you uniquely bring to humanity. You don't bring things that other people bring, and you don't need to, but you do need to bring this, and you do need to bring what you uniquely have to offer to your teams, to your communities, to your families. So
That's a powerful part. Thank you for sharing that. You're bringing tears to all of our eyes. We could feel that. And that's a powerful part of doing a business. A lot of us are in isogenics. There's some people that aren't, that are in this environment here with us. But when they're trying to be like, you know, the person that's on the stage, then they're robbing people of who they are and their authenticity and showing up and how you work with people over the phone, face to face, following up, all those things. You're robbing people. And I could really feel that when you said that. And I would think a lot of C's would have a hard time showing up authentically in a business environment.
Yeah, we don't do a good job of overtly valuing this. We hail the people on the stage, right? We pay the people on the stage. There's a lot of things in our society that we reinforce, and we don't tend to reinforce some of these aspects of the C, but we value them dearly, and we ought to reinforce them more overtly. And that's one of the things that I want to do. I want you to know that what you have to offer is imperative to society, to families, to businesses being healthy.
Would you say, Dr. Slade, as if you're a leader in your team and you have C's, really supporting and encouraging them to maybe share their story, maybe share something on a Zoom, invite them to be out in front in the spotlight in that kind of environment? Would that be the protocol?
What you want to do is you want to make space for them. They're not going to fight they're not going to elbow in to make space for themselves. And so you want to make space for them. You want to invite their thoughts. You also have to take time. It takes time to be in a relationship with a C. It takes time to have a conversation with a C. And part of it is because of this. To the C brain, everything is connected. Something way over here is connected to something way over here via 15 different things. The C brain is like soup or a stew. Everything's in there and it's all mixed together, and things are so interconnected that they can become complicated. The C brain is a complicated place to live, and it can feel really overwhelming to feel all that's going on inside of you if you're a C. And so you've got to be willing to take time and to make space. Most C's are uncomfortable being in the middle of attention. And most C's don't need that in order to feel valued, but what they do need is recognition, one-on-one recognition, expression of value, and you've got to take the time to make space for that to happen.
So if we're working with the C and they're not willing to fall off the table because it's too much risk, we want to keep nurturing and encouraging them, because when they do fall off the table, they're going to be like, that was amazing. Like they get a whole new taste of life, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yep. They will, as long as they get caught. Now, the danger is if you tell them to jump and they jump and you don't catch them, they'll never forget it. And it will become a strong data point, and we'll get to that here in just a second too. It'll become a strong data point of why it's not a good idea to risk. And so you do need to make sure that you're creating a safe environment and that you're following through with that safety with them.
Because they do want to be heard, right? Like you said, and I think in the slides, you said they want to be seen and heard. That's a big deal to them. But yet they don't want to get on and share their story or whatever we're asking them to do. So when we nurture them through that process, that's a huge win for them and for you as a leader to bring that out of them.
Absolutely. And again, when you get the good stuff that a C has to offer, it is wonderful. It really is wonderful to be in a relationship with a C. Because things are so interconnected to the C brain, it takes time for them to respond. I said this the other day, but lots of times when I ask a C a question in my office, they'll look at me like a deer in the headlights. And then later that day, they'll send me an email or a text, and they will have connected everything that we've ever talked about into this beautiful thesis. But it just takes time. It takes time for the sands to settle. And so if you're a C, you need to understand that it's okay. You can't make your brain not work or work in a different way than it does. And how it does work isn't broken, because the connections that the C brain is able to make are great. You just have to allow time for that to happen. And so you either have to be willing to take that time before a conversation, like let things kind of filter through so that you're ready, or you have to be willing to circle back around after the sands have settled. And sometimes it takes many cycles around before you will have shared all of the things that that you have to share. C's are internal, then external processors. C's need time, quiet time, alone time. They need time to let those sands settle. But a C doesn't finish processing completely until they also have an opportunity to externally process. So they need to be able to do the internal processing, and then they need to be willing and have a place to do the external processing as well. C's live a little bit in the past, but in kind of a unique way. Time moves on, right? And so what happens with the C is when the C becomes unsettled emotionally, they kind of step out of time, and they will sit and ruminate on things as they try to figure out how to get things settled. And time kind of keeps going on. And so they don't dwell a lot in the past, but what they do is they dwell on whatever is unsettled, and they will sit and ruminate in that until they feel things being emotionally settled. C's attach emotional meaning to things, heirlooms, letters, history, family history. If there's an emotional component, meaning is really important to C's, and oftentimes things will have meaning because of what they represent. This was my great grandmother's journal. This was this. So meaning is really important. It means something. I'm a secondary C, and I talk to my kids all the time about it meaning something to be a Slade. Our family motto is kind of a mixture of my C-ness and my primary O-ness. The Slade way is the happy way. And we're as Slades, we're happy, and it means something to be a Slade. And so meaning is important. C's kind of like what we said, remember things well if there's an emotional component. Socially drained, because they're drinking out of this emotional fire hydrant. C's typically will feel overwhelmed by too much socialization. They really like to be around people, and C's will typically cope with kind of the social drain by when they're in a social situation. Oftentimes C's will find kind of naturally carve out a little group. They'll find one or two people and have more of an intimate conversation rather than trying to work the room. And after a social situation, C's typically need some time to kind of reorganize a little bit. Gray, everything, because of the stew that the C brain is, they can see that, oh, from this angle, I can totally see how you thought that. And from this angle, I can see how you thought that. And so what that can end up sounding like is maybe. Everything can sound like a maybe. In parenting, this can be a little difficult because it can be difficult for a C to really hold a black and white line, because they have this ability to see perspective. And so if you're a C parent, you've probably come up to bat against this, your kids not believing what you say because it probably sounds like maybe to them. So let's go through the unique contributions. C's are feelers in our society. They bring comfort and connection to mankind. They bring awareness of and sensitivity to the comfort and feelings of others. They're naturally conscious of the emotional climate. They're willing to put time, effort, and intention to connect, to help things be comfortable and to feel good. Tremendous innate capacity to be sensitive and available. They're willing to notice and tend to the discomfort of others with humility and understanding. Thoughtfully accommodate other people. They're willing to sacrifice. See connections others might not be aware of. Connect us to the past. They keep important ties flowing from one generation to another. They help ease tension, and they strive to work with momentum rather than against it. Those are unique contributions that C's make. Are there any burning questions on the C before we move on to the O?
Yeah, there's a few questions in here. How can a C, and you may have covered on some of this already, but maybe reiterate, how can a C overcome the past experiences of not being caught when they fall off the table? So a C, how can they correct and get on the right course of not letting their personality, their temperament get the better of that?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. One is understanding. If you understand what your needs are, if you understand how relationships are, if you understand what it takes to feel safe, that's a really powerful thing. And then what you've got to do is, and I don't know if we'll talk much about attachment during these 6 weeks, but when you don't have to be seen by everybody, you don't have to be safe with everybody, but it is really important that you have some people that you feel safe with. And so if you've been hurt by somebody that you're still in a relationship with, then chances are that they're unaware of the depth of the pain that they have caused, unless they're a C. But if they're an O or an R or an E, they probably are unaware of of some of that iceberg that has gone on inside you. And so you've got to risk taking the risk, the jump, in order to say, hey, I want to feel safe with you. I want to feel seen. And I don't know if I've interpreted these things correctly, but these things have made me feel like I wasn't valued by you, or that it wasn't safe for me to share or to risk with you. And you've got to have it, we call it a meta conversation, to find out if your partner is interested in and willing to be a safe place for you. And if you have that overt conversation, 9 times out of 10, you're going to find out that they are unaware that 15 years ago, they said something that has just taken root and caused you, it's kind of like the Princess and the Pea, that, that under the 15 mattresses, there's something in there that has been causing you pain the whole time. Carrie, it looks like you were going to say something.
I'm just commenting to some of these in the chat, but you're doing a great job.
Yeah, that was really good. I think that's a great answer.
Anything else that I need to answer?
Yeah, so I'm interested in this one too. Connie said, I want to be seen and heard in relationships, but not on the stage. And my reaction to that, and what if you could elaborate on, if that person could incrementally move up that slider scale to the healthy side, would they get a lot of euphoria out of being on the stage? Because from where they're at to the stage seems so far of a gap. But would a C love to be heard from the stage if they could get to there healthily? Or is it got to stay in the relationship? They're always going to be the cog in the wheel. They're not going to be, the shiny paint job on the car or whatever. Or could they be, and would they be comfortable with that if they could evolve up to that? What's your thoughts on that?
Carrie, do you want to answer that?
The first answer is that I think what a lot of people think healthy looks like is different based on temperament. I personally really do enjoy being on the stage. However, it doesn't mean anything to me in as compared to relationships. So, and also like my reason for being on the stage would be different than somebody else's. But yeah, I don't think that and you can add to this, Dr. Slade, but I don't think that expecting or gauging whether or not a C wants to be on the stage can be even correlated to whether or not they're a healthy C, because a healthy C can very much be happy behind the scenes, connecting people and, one-on-one. And that like fills me a lot more personally than being on the stage. I have different reasons that I enjoy being on the stage. But again, if I were to be on the stage all the time, it would be so draining. And I think it would actually maybe go against what healthy is for me, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Dave and Connie, this is one of the most fundamentally important things about this whole deal, which is what is success, right? What is fulfilling? And so what is imperative for a C is to feel seen and valued and safe. That's what they need to feel. And how they feel that isn't nearly as important as that they feel that. And so being on a stage can make somebody feel seen and valued, right? But it can also make somebody feel really exposed and actually undervalued or misinterpreted. And so we have to be careful to say that there is a trajectory of success, and our job is to take, C's, O's, R's, and E's and work them through their obstacles in order to get to this one marker of success. And to say, okay, for the C, how do I make him or her feel seen and valued? And it's typically going to, it's kind of like the restaurant example is a dumb example, but it really is a win for the C to go to, I don't know, Chick-fil-A, if that's where everybody wants to go. Even if they had chicken for lunch, it is a win for the C to have chicken again for dinner if that makes the whole mood comfortable for everybody. And so if you understand what they need, then it might be, you might get further helping a C be seen to give them a heartfelt note with a bonus in it than to point them out on a stage.
This is a huge, I'm having some great ahas, and this is, I hope other people are too. I can't see how you couldn't be. So like for them to get on the stage, my perspective, and Carrie says I'm an R.
RE split down the middle.
Like the healthy side of it for me to get to the stage would be, yes, the personal development and the time I put into growing and developing skills and overcoming weaknesses. That's a proof that I've done it, not to be on there for an egotistical reason. A C wouldn't even relate like that. They would be like, I want to go up there because I want to share something that I feel is important to me, and I want to be heard, and I want other people to hear what I have to say because it's important.
Yes.
Thought about it.
Yes, that, Dave, right there is why I enjoy being on the stage, because being at all these isogenics events and feeling other C's in the room and wanting them to understand that here's my sensitivity, my emotion, wanting them to understand that it's okay to be them, and that somebody understands that it's, that they're maybe feeling unsuccessful because they're not and are. So that's why I like to be on stage in events, so that I can help people feel seen and heard. That's the exact reason. And I want to add too that when I cry, it doesn't mean I'm sad, by the way, just so everyone knows. But the other thing is, like when you said earlier, Dave, you said, if they get on stage and like, that's amazing, that doesn't always work well for a C either. That can seem really like insincere. Again, like the meaning behind it and knowing somebody really means what they say has a lot more to do with it than being on this amazing display with all the lights and confetti. It just doesn't doesn't hit the same, and it can actually, for me, feel really insincere. And again, that's my own work, but anyway.
So what I've done, and I can see a mistake in my past as far as being a mentor, a leader in isogenics, is if somebody wants to get to the stage because they're a C, and I'm like, okay, let's jump into John Maxwell. They're not about that. They're not about when they get on the stage, it's not going to be primarily about the business and the rudiments, and I'm going to train you on how to do the business. It's going to be there, but there's going to be so many other reasons why they're on the stage that are more important, maybe even the business. They're going to share things and insights that they've thought about deeply that may not have anything to do with the comp planner products, right? And so my approaching them and helping them to get to the stage is not John Maxwell,
Exactly. Yeah,
Dave,
exactly.
And Dave, I just want to mention, in my previous business, we had a Super C, Edie, and Edie was almost afraid of her own shadow. And she walked into a friend of hers office, and Donna, and she was so terrified of making a sales call that she was shaking and almost crying, and Donna could see that. And so Donna listened, and the guy that sent her there was this super salesman, Super R, Airborne Green Beret guy, and he made Edie go see Donna, right? And because he couldn't. He was too strong a personality, and Donna was too strong a personality, and Edie was the bridge in connecting with Donna. And Donna won so many awards with my previous company that they eventually said to her, Donna, you can't be in the awards program anymore because we can't have somebody doing things year after year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Edie played an absolutely critical role in bringing Donna on. Pint, the guy that sent Edie in to meet Donna, would not have succeeded. He would have been kicked out of her office. Okay, he was too hard charging, and they would have butted heads. But Edie was the secret sauce for that relationship. It was really cool.
I love that.
That's a great example.
There's hope for us, ours, right? We can learn
Totally.
and not have to pawn them off, right?
Totally.
That's what I love about
Yes.
this.
And really what you have to go back to with all of this is, what are the core motivators?
Mm-hmm.
And the core motivators for the C are comfort and connection. And when those needs are being met, the C will feel fulfilled. When they're not being met, the C will not be fulfilled. They will not perform as well. They won't excel.
Yeah.
And so and you can ask also, you don't have to guess. You can also say, if you understand this, you can say, hey, you do matter to me, right? I want you to feel safe. I want you to know how much I value you. What would help you feel that way? And what's going on that's making you not feel that way? And it might be, a monthly lunch with the person, or a weekly phone call. But you don't have to guess. You can ask somebody. When you understand what they need, you can ask and let them take responsibility for themselves. Because if I tell you, hey, Dave, it would really mean a lot to me if we could talk once a week on the phone or whatever, or once a month, and you take the time, then I've given you the key to succeed with me, when you do that, my brain has already bought in, because I've already said, this is going to make me feel this way. And so you don't have to guess. You can ask, as long as you understand the comfort and the connection.
Having your team take this assessment would be awesome, and then have them report back what they are, and then you know how to work with them when you're talking.
Absolutely.
To them. Have a notebook.
Yeah, it's transformational in that regard. I'm gonna shift things up a little bit.
Okay. There is one more question. Can I just get this one more question? I think it's one you probably hear a lot. I took the assessment. It said I was an E and R, but this sounds a little like me, the C person does. So how much of the assessment is like fact, and you can't, how much wiggle room is there that, hey, I do have you know how to answer this. So
yes. So I will tell you that C's will test incorrectly more than any other type. And it goes back to one of the strengths of your C brain, which is seeing the potential, and like seeing things from different angles, right? Everything's connected. And so when a C takes, they're like, oh yeah, I can see how that could kind of be from this point of view. And oh yeah, I could kind of see that from this point of view. So a lot of times when a C first takes the assessment, it's not necessarily accurate. And you also have to remember that it is an assessment. I created the assessment. Getting and those of you that are taking it, which I think are probably most of you, it's kind of a pain in the butt to take. It's a hard assessment to take. And the reason why it is because of what we're trying to get at, which is not just, I can't just say, do you do this behavior? Because what CORE gets at is why we do what we do. And so we're trying to get at that underlying thing. So the assessment isn't perfect. It statistically, it does really well and it rates really well. You know, the stats on it are performing really well, but it's not flawless. You can take it as many times as you want. Again, the goal isn't for you to try to get the result that you're looking for because it's what you think you ought to be. You really want to pay attention to what is this really about for me? And why do I really do the things that you do? A lot of times when C's come back, they'll have like a lot of all four of them, which typically isn't accurate. It just takes a couple of times to plug into what's really motivating and driving why you do what you do. Really good question.
And also there are some overlaps in all of in most of the temperaments. And so as you continue to listen through, pay attention. If you're like, oh, wow, this sounds like me, pay attention to all of them. And then you'll maybe have a better idea too.
And look at why you do the things you do. And if you're like, am I a C or am I an E? What you can do is you can look at when those underlying motives come up to bat against each other, your primary type will win most of the time. And we're just going to go through C and O today. I don't want to rush through all three of them. And we've got some flexibility because of how we're doing this program. And so we're going to do the O now. And then next week we'll do the R and the E so that we don't like short change the O's, R's, and E's.
We can pick up more of the questions in the Facebook group, you guys. So if it doesn't get answered here today, then we can answer them in the Facebook group. And so that you can.
And we would we'd much rather take the time for you to really get your brains wrapped around this than to rush through it. And some of you, O's and R's, might be feeling like this is taking a really long time to get through the C.
They're getting edgy in their C. They're getting up and getting a drink.
Yes, exactly. So kudos for sticking in there for an hour on the C. Okay, so let's I think we've been kind of processing this, but I want you to answer this question. You know, how will knowing any of this affect your life? Please take just a few minutes and write down how this is going to affect your life. All right, let's talk about the O. O stands for optimism. The optimist is motivated by things being enjoyable. The first core driver for the O is optimism. O's see the possibility and potential in things and people. You present an idea to an O, and they will automatically think that there's a way to make it happen. When they look at situations, it may surprise some of you, therapists, a lot of O's go into therapy, which can seem kind of incongruent on the face of things because because therapy is pretty heavy, and you're dealing with a lot of unfun things. But one of the reasons why a lot of O's go into therapy is because of this ability. They see the potential in people. They see the possibility in things. Present an O with a business idea. Present an O with, with a trip. As long as they think that there's an element of fun, an O tends to believe that anything is possible. They believe that there's a way of making most anything work, and they're really open to new ideas. O's get really excited about what could be. These guys think outside the box. They see the potential in things, and they love the fun of what could be. Figuring things out is the most enjoyable part of the process for the O. They love the process of wrapping their brains around something. And it doesn't matter whether it's the plot in a book, how to do a project, how to do a degree, how to plan their day or their week. O's love the idea, the process of wrapping their brain around something. Unfortunately, when after they've wrapped their brains around it, it becomes difficult for an O to maintain movement. They tend to lose interest and to have a hard time maintaining focus. So frequently O's will have a whole stack of half-read books or half-completed projects because they love the process of getting going, figuring it out. But once they figure it out, they tend to lose interest. And then come all of the boring details of following through on things. And that becomes difficult for the O brain. The second and really the main motivator is enjoyable, fun, diverting, pleasant energy. O's are driven by having things be enjoyable. They want pleasant emotions now and all the time. So O's bring very positive energy to relationships and situations. O's are very spontaneous. They're game for anything. O's are the people that you can call and say, hey, I'm heading to Vegas in an hour. Do you want to go? Or hey, a movie started 5 minutes ago. If we hurry, then we'll just miss the previews. As long as an O thinks that what you're presenting is going to be fun, they shift gears really easily. They get in the middle, they can jump in the middle of a movie, the middle of a game, the middle of a conversation. They're spontaneous and game for almost anything.
Could we all of the primary O's put an O in the chat? True to wanting to pick balance and people being seen.
Yes. Thank you. Your seeness. Yeah, put an O in there. I wish I could see how many of you are each of the types. Maybe I'll look at that. Carrie, we should look at that. Look at the breakdown and the people that are signed up. O's have very low tolerance for negative emotion. Why? Because it's unpleasant. It's not fun, right? So they frequently have very low tolerance for conflict, and they'll avoid negative emotion and conflict at almost any cost. Where a C has this really strong drive to be seen, an O would rather not be seen as long as they don't have to have conflict or have negative emotion. They will sacrifice really being seen in a relationship as long as we can just pretend like everything's okay. Boredom is a huge variable for the O brain. And if you're not an O, this may sound really stupid to you. But O's get bored really easily if what they're doing isn't enjoyable. And it's actually something that they fear. If an O is enjoying what they're doing, they will go all day and all night and all year, and they have tremendous tenacity and grit as long as they're having a good time. But when things become unpleasant, it becomes difficult for an O to follow through on those things. And they will avoid boredom and things that they think will be boring at almost any cost.
I think that's really well, your PhD and your love for research, I think speaks to that really well, because I remember thinking, how in the heck does an O have a PhD and love research? But it's because you love it that you can have that tenacity, right?
Totally. School didn't become enjoyable to me until I got into grad school. Well, kind of maybe the last year of my bachelor's degree, when I actually got into something that I was really interested in. Before then, I was just slogging through, and it was hard. It was hard to study. It was hard to go to class. It was hard to do. Once I started studying this stuff, I felt like I'd come home, and I enjoyed going to class, and I enjoyed reading about this stuff, and I enjoyed talking to people about it. And so in fact, so I went to 10 years of school, which if I would have studied microbiology or chemistry, I would have been hard pressed to get through my undergraduate degree, let alone 10 years of college, if that makes sense. That's a good point, Carrie.
So that's
Dave.
important for an O in this business environment. For something that looks laborious, they're focusing on the wrong things that they're not interested in. Find the thing you are interested in the business model.
Exactly.
And then focus, and then they'll love it, and then they'll do the labor.
Totally. Yes, it's the Mary Poppins, right? You whatever you find you find the enjoyment in something, and you'll have O's. And if you're doing the business in a way that is a drag and you're an O, you're going to have a really hard time. If every time you look at like the things on your agenda, you're thinking, oh, this is going to be so boring, or this is going to be so uncomfortable, that it's going to be hard. But so if you can find a way to make what you're doing enjoyable, work with somebody that you enjoy doing, talk about things in a way that are enjoyable, it'll be much easier for you to succeed as an O. Really good point. Thank you. Hassle. O's hate hassle. Why? Because it's not fun, right? When things become too much of a hassle, it becomes really unpleasant. It doesn't matter if it's a family meeting, if it's a job, if it's a project that you're doing, a race that you're training for. If it becomes too much of a hassle, your O brain will have a hard time fighting through that resistance. Fear of missing out is another very predictable part of the O brain. You want to torture your O friends, give them 2 or 3 really good options and make them have to choose. And it will kill them, because no matter what they choose, they'll be thinking about what they didn't choose the whole time and worrying that they would have been having more fun if they would have done the other option. So FOMO is a real thing for an O. And if you're not an O, again, that might surprise you. O's are the most people oriented of any of the types. They're the most naturally social of the temperaments. It's important that O's have attention. It's important that people think well of them, like them, choose them. They tend to naturally get attention because of the way that they are. So Dave, on back to the stage analogy, O's like attention. They like recognition. They want to feel like people like them. They do not like to be called out in a negative way. You do not want to shame an O. They'll disappear. You shame a C, you shame an O, they'll disappear. Because they want to feel like there's positive attention and positive energy. O's tend to have a really positive impact on social situations. Interactions tend to be more fun when O's are involved, because that's the kind of energy that O's bring. O's bring a light, positive, buoyant kind of energy. O's tend to be pleasers. They tend to feel like it's their job to make everybody happy and to make sure that everybody's having a good time. Having interactions be enjoyable is more important than being understood. It's more important than resolving conflict. It's more important than being right. It's more important than getting their way. The win for the O is having things be fun and enjoyable. I don't know if I talk about this at a different time. I think I do. I'll wait. I'll come back to it if I don't. One of the most predictable aspects about temperament is where you live in time. And O's are the only temperament type that live in the present. We talked about C's. C's live a little bit in the past. They really live in no time when they get disorganized emotionally, but O's live in the present. They want to feel good now and all the time. I think I will talk about that. O's tend to feel responsible for everybody else having a good time, and this can become a real kind of stress and burden that O's feel. O's can feel like everybody is looking to them to make sure that things are enjoyable. O's can also, because O's are so people oriented, people tend to want them around, and combined with this responsibility that O's feel, a lot of times O's can feel like they're pulled in lots of directions. And like, I'll just give an example with my daughter Sydney is an O, and she served a mission for our church, served a mission for the LDS church, and I believe but at least almost every one of Sydney's companions, Sydney was almost every one of her companions' favorite companion. And all of them felt like they were Sydney's favorite companion. And she really enjoyed and loved her companions and her friends, but they all felt like they were her favorite companion, her best friend. And then when you find out that other people feel really important to the O2, it can make you feel like your relationship with them isn't quite as important, and that you're not quite as special. And what you need to know that if you're in a relationship with an O, that's not true. You are that important to them, and so are other people. I mean, there certainly is a hierarchy, but it doesn't, an O having closeness and fun with other people does not mean that they devalue your relationship anymore or any less. If that makes sense. I don't know. Carrie, am I making sense out of that?
It makes a lot of sense to me. So yeah, if you're feeling special to an O and then you notice that someone else feels special, if it hurts your feelings, then what he just said, like, just because two people are special doesn't mean you're less special than the other person. So that's a good mantra to keep in your mind.
You're talking about somebody else who's not the O's feelings, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. C's, if you're a C, and I don't know if R's feel that, maybe, I don't know. Anyway.
There's some questions too, but we'll wait for the questions until you're done getting through the C's.
Yeah. All right. O's have a really difficult time planning.
I mean, through the O's.
And the reason why they have a difficult time planning is because they live in the present, right? And they don't know how they're going to feel when that time finally arrives. And so knowing what they're going to do for next Christmas or for summer vacation, or Thanksgiving, or maybe even tonight, it can be difficult for O's live so much in the present that it's hard for them to think about what they're going to feel like later. I mean, I'm a primary O, and this happens all the time. Like my wife will ask me, you know, what do you want for dinner tonight? And if it's in the morning, where my brain goes is, I don't know, nothing sounds good to me right now. it's what sounds good right now might be oatmeal or pancakes or something, but it's hard for me to think about what I'm going to feel like this evening. And this can be really challenging when you're in a relationship with an O, because they can be really resistant to plan. And it's not because they're trying to be difficult, it's because they live in the present. And until it's present, it's not relevant. For me, when I have a really hard time thinking about things before it's time to think about them. And for my O brain, the time is when it's time, when it's here, which can be challenging. You know, again, back to school, you know, reading 300 pages a night, or writing, you know, 150-page dissertation, you have to plan and you have to do those things. And so balancing the way your brain naturally works and developing skills and processes and partnerships to help you be successful in being you is a really important balance there. Always get over.
Can I just interject right there? Because I feel like I'm relating to you, and I think a lot of people do this, like, oh, maybe I'm an O. But when you say you can't figure out what you want in the evening, that's where you lose me, because yeah, I can figure out what I want in the evening. All those other things I totally agree with, but that part, right, I can totally figure out what I want in the, so that kind of negates that I'm really an O, right? Because you can't, like, you're incapable basically of your brain going there.
It is, yes, it's, I have to, yes. And it's a weird process to be in the O brain. I mean, there are pluses and, you know, pros and cons to everything, but yeah. And that kind of goes back to the other thing too. When you're talking about the pluses of any of the temperaments, there's part of us that wants to be, oh yeah, I'm like that, and I want to be like that. And sometimes it's, I wish that I was like that. And the reality is that there's not one of these that is better than the other. It's not like it's better to be an R than it is to be an O, or it's better to be a C than an E. Every single one of these is so important, and what you bring to the table is so important, and nobody else can do it like you. And I promise you that every plus comes with at least one minus. And so when your brain is like kind of saying, oh, these are great attributes to have, yeah, and they come with a whole bag of really challenging things as well, regardless of what the strength is. And being healthy is embracing who you are and being a healthy you, and not trying to be or think that you have to be something else in order to be successful. Really great point. Thank you. O's get over things really quickly. Why? Because it's unpleasant to stay mad, right? So O's don't hold grudges. They don't bring up the past. A lot of times they can't even remember the past very well, because they're living in the present, and the present is moving along. And so these things, the O's get over things pretty quickly. They tend to be forgetful. They once something is over, it tends to be forgotten and to give way to whatever's currently going on. Again, because of where they live in time. Okay. Things that O's bring to the table. They bring enjoyment, positivity, and pleasant energy to society. They complement and add reinforcement. They like most people. They bring light, buoyant energy. They're enjoyable to be around. They're great at breaking tension. They help us find common ground. They provide spark and generate interest in things. They're really great at rallying the troops and cheerleading and getting people on board with things. Again, so in your role as business leaders and building businesses, O's are great at like, hey, this is a great opportunity, and seeing the potential in things. And my people that are close to me have stopped asking me my opinion on movies and things, because you know, if I liked a movie, it's the best movie that I've ever seen. It's going to be great. And I always have a positive spin on things, which isn't real life, right? So they help rally the troops. They help expand horizons. They see possibilities and think outside the box. They prioritize friendships. They bring people together. They make teamwork fun and cohesive. They bring hope to society, positive impact on people. They're naturally good at helping people feel better. They help people see that hard moments never last. They bring flexibility and adaptability to society. They're easy to be around. They're willing to put in effort to have fun, help us laugh and not take things too seriously. They're the anti-cortisol, anti-stress. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and they'll do anything to make fun happen. That's the 411 on O's. What are some of the thoughts or questions that we have?
I want to point out really quick, Dr. Slade, that Camille, the O coach, has joined the call. So I don't know if you want to introduce her really quick.
Good. Yeah. Camille, you want to unmute yourself?
Let me see if I can find her. Is it with the C or yeah, Camille?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. She's very good.
Her a co-host. Okay, you should be able to unmute Camille. And her name
Camille, do you want to
starts with a
introduce?
C.
And I don't know if she's in a place where she can talk.
Oh, she might not be. Okay. Well, maybe next week we'll. Anyway, Camille, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. Do we have any questions on the O?
Carrie answered one of them, but it was a good question, and maybe you might want to elaborate on it. If a C likes being seen and an O likes being seen, what's the difference? And Carrie answered, do you want to share that, Carrie, to the group that might not have read the question? And then Dr. Slade, you can elaborate on it. C's want to be noticed too. What's the difference?
Basically, C's want to be noticed in a more one-on-one way. It's more of like an intimate, I want you to know what's going on inside of me. I want all of me to matter. I want my feelings to matter, my thoughts to matter, my opinions to matter. And O's like to be noticed, but they just don't go that deep. Like they want to be noticed and they're the life of the party and they do get noticed and they don't necessarily fight as hard to be noticed. Maybe, Denim, is that you want to add to that?
That iceberg analogy is such a great one with the C. A C has a lot going on under the surface. And so in order for a C to feel seen, you have to take time to get under the surface and to listen and to ask questions and to get depth into what's going on under the surface. And for an O wants to be seen for having fun. They want to be invited to the party. They want to be, they don't want to be left out. And a C doesn't want to be left out either, but it's more about like seeing what's going on and understanding what they're feeling and what's going on inside. And an O is, they don't want to be left out.
Let's go dancing, right? And then the next night they don't remember going dancing because the new fun is in the moment and
exactly
what happened last night because we had fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I want to point out really quick because I know we're getting, we're at time and I know there's other questions, but if you've been at UAA, you always have a bigger group of blues, and blues don't correlate with C's. There's a lot of mixture in the two. At the same time, there are a lot of C's that are in network marketing. And as we've learned, like every temperament adds value, and C's can add value to your business. And a lot of times they either disappear or they leave because of this, noticing, this being noticed thing. They'll have C's that'll reach out just to, I'd like to connect. And if you're not seeing that, you might lose a lot of people on your team that join for the connection. So I just want to make sure that's.
Can I add a little bit to that?
Yes.
So yeah, C's we all are looking for a community, right? But C's are looking for a place to belong, a place to feel. They want to feel like there's home, right? C's want to feel like they have a place where they belong. They're intimate in a group, and so network marketing can be a place that can attract a lot of C's where they're looking for a place to belong and to feel seen. But then if they get into the system all of a sudden it's R and E and there, an O that is like, then they can feel invisible. And when they feel invisible, they'll feel devalued and they'll disappear.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, Gary.
So maybe elaborate on this. We are just about out of time, but this is so good. So this program, I would like people to reassess themselves right now, and see if they moved up a little bit. Like if you moved up any, even if we didn't talk about your letter, put a up in the comments, just up UP, and maybe speak to this, Dr. Slade, because we don't know this and have this understanding, and all thy getting get understanding, right? Because it gets rid of that ignorance. So a lot of people misconstrue the circumstances of life in an erroneous with ideas and opinions, and then they form beliefs around those. And when we misconstrue those things, a lot of temperaments, like a red would be, I don't care if people misconstrue me, I'm still going forward, right? But a lot of the temperaments out there, like the C's in network marketing, that affects their self-esteem and their confidence, and then they start to shrink and be less and less showing up and hearing their voice. So this is really designed, like the moving up would be that I'm starting to understand that I misread people, I misunderstood, I created false beliefs.
Absolutely. Yeah, you said it really well. That's exactly right. And this is, this is one of the main reasons I'm speaking for you, Carrie, so you can tell me to shut up. But this is one of the main reasons why, which she would never do because she's a C. One of the main reasons why Carrie has wanted to get this into your hands, because it has the potential and the ability to really change the way that you create a team and home, a place for everybody to feel welcome and to succeed. There is, there are some in a business, there are markers of success that are objective markers, right? But for a C, that's not going to be all there is to the story. There's going to also be all of the emotional kind of markers that are important there. And for an O, it's going to be how enjoyable. And an O might be really have the potential to be really successful financially, but if they're not enjoying themselves, and if they don't feel, valued and appreciated in a fun way, then it's not going to, the financial potential isn't going to be enough to keep them in the game.
Yeah, to go along with that, there are two questions that are really similar that I think are, of all the questions, maybe the most important, and go along with that. The first one is, can we expand our capacity from one primary temperament to another? Example, a high R who can set an intention to expand their O or C sides. And the other question is, just to be clear, these contributions aren't all or nothing, right? I find myself identifying with a lot of the traits and feeling very opposite to some of them as well. So how would you answer that, Dr. Slade? I know how I answer, but be concise.
Yes.
Can you restate the first question again so I can process what he's going to say?
Let me restate it, make sure I'm answering it correctly. What I heard the question to be is, can you augment, can you add parts to your temperament that you don't naturally possess? You're muted, Carrie.
Oh, Carrie, you made it out.
Can you expand your capacity from one primary temperament to another one? Yeah. And then in addition to that, what if I identify with a lot of them, but I feel really opposite to some of the other ones? Like, this isn't all or nothing, right?
Yeah. So temperament is not changeable. It's really important. If you are a C, you cannot become an O. Or if you're an E, I was going to say if you're an R, you can't become something else, but if you're an R, you probably don't want to. But if you're an O, you can't become an R. Temperament is innate and it is unalterable across time. What you can do when healthy is incongruent with the way that your brain naturally works, you can develop skills, processes, and partnerships to help you do what healthy is that doesn't come naturally to you. So so I'll just use myself. Planning is difficult for my old brain. Well, there are lots of aspects of life that you cannot be successful doing if you don't plan. And so I have all kinds of tools in my life that help me to compensate for the way that my brain works. And so can you use skills, processes, and partnerships to help you do some of the things that another temperament naturally does? Absolutely. What you have to be careful is that you're not trying to become another temperament type. But there are things that ours do naturally that are really conducive to healthy that my O brain doesn't naturally do. E's, as you'll see next week, E's are the masters of planning, and they naturally do it so well. My brain doesn't. So can I develop a system that helps me be able to do that, to be successful? Yes. But I really want to be really clear. I don't want any of you coming away from this with the idea that I need to be more O, or I need to be more C. That's the exact opposite message of what I want you to get out of this, which is you are not broken. You don't have to be something else in order to be successful. You don't have to be something else, someone else, in order to be happy, in order to have a healthy relationship. What you have to do is to learn how to be a healthy you. What was the second question?
It's not all or nothing. I'm relating to a lot of things, but I'm opposed to a lot of it too.
Your primary type will line up remarkably well, and you may be an R or an E if you ask that question. You may not have every one of these things, but because again, it's the underlying reason why you do what you do. And so most of the C traits are what they are because of comfort and connection. And so they're very predictable things that happen in the way the C brain works because of this emotional settlement and comfort and connection. They're very predictable things that show up in the life of an O because they are driven by living in the present and enjoyable, pleasant emotion. And so if you're like, oh yeah, like 50% of these and 50% no, you're probably not either a C or an O yet. I mean, not yet.
And I'll just add to that too. Yeah, or like when I was first introduced to this, Dr. Slade, none of what was C, I didn't feel like I related to it. I didn't feel like I had emotion at all. And so some of it could be, I think part of that reason is because I tried really hard to be something else my whole life, and I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to feel deeply. So I taught myself not to be, I guess. And as I've learned more about temperament and really asking myself the question and being aware of like, why do I do what I do? Like, I can't deny now that I am 95% C and that everything I do is, and so more and more and more, and there's still some things on a bad day that I'll fight hard about. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that. It has nothing to do with what I'm doing. But on the inside, it really is what's going on. And so just, if it's not connecting with you in all the areas right off the bat, give yourself time to listen to all the other ones, as you know, first of all, and maybe ask questions in the group. And also asking yourself, like, if I think I'm an R because I do this, well, why do I do it? Really quick example, like one of the questions that made me like shut up and like resign to the fact that I'm a C, Dr. Slade, was you asked me, well, you mentioned that an E's closet would be color coded. And I'm like, yep, that's mine. And you're like, but why? And I told you, because it's easier to find things. And then you just said, it's more comfortable. And I had to like drop the mic because it was nothing to do about whether or not it was the right thing to do or that it was the best way to do it. It just because I could find things more easily. which is a lot more emotionally comfortable to me than yeah, anyway, I could keep going, but that's an important thing to remember, I think.
I think I can
Yeah.
fill in that question too, at least from an RE perspective. I got to be careful now, right? I got to catch myself. I think everybody's probably thinking it. Well, probably not everybody's thinking this, but, and you've already reiterated that we're driven. That's what drives us. That's what makes us happy, our temperament, right? So if we try to be something else, we're going to lose that drive. And an example where we like can beat ourselves up is I can't journal. Like like journaling is something that I bought the journals. I got the nice one. I got the nice pen. I'm going to do journaling, right? I got all the tools. I can't do it for 3 days in a row, right? And then let's say I go to a lecture or I'm at church and there's somebody speaking that's very well respected and they say, you have to journal. Journaling is such an important part of society. You leave your past for the future. Now I feel like an idiot because I'm not journaling, right? I feel like a failure because I totally gave it my all and I can't journal, right? And so we kind of like beat ourselves up, putting people as an authority who is teaching us in a way they don't understand the personalities, right? That person's never going to get me to journal because that's not what I'm driven by. Yeah. I might do it for 3 days, but with excellence and exactness and have all the right tools exactly the way they need to be, but I'm not going to keep doing it because I'm not driven by that. And a C is probably totally going to journal, right?
Journaling works really well for C's. Yeah. It's a great way to process information and to let the sand settle. So, yeah, that's a really good point.
And so the point I really wanted to drive home, you guys, we do that in our businesses. We do that in our lives. We take authorities, the people who are successful on the stage, and we're trying to be that temperament, and it doesn't drive us. We try to do it. Go talk to 2 people every day. That's 10 people at the end of the week. And if you're really driven, talk to 5 people a day. There's people that aren't going to be able to, just like I can't journal, there's people that are not going to take that advice that way and go and do that. And then we make them feel like they're not going to be successful in network marketing if they don't talk to 2 or 5 people a day. Maybe there's another way around the back door to get people to do what they need to do, the income producing activities, which this is going to help us to identify that.
Yeah, really great point. I apologize for taking so long today, but hopefully you've got a pretty good feel for the C and the O. Ask any questions that you have in the Facebook group. We'd really like that to be a place where we can collaborate and create a nice sense of community. And then you R's and E's. I probably should have started with R's. R's like to get things done. So we'll do R's and E's next week.
Yeah, and if there's anybody that's on here that doesn't know why you're here and why we're doing this, you missed us in the beginning, just reach out to me on Facebook or Carrie, and we'll bring you up to speed, help you to get into the program. And we will not be on this Zoom next week. So if you've arrived late, I talked about that earlier, you're going to get a text or an email with a different ID number, a different Zoom number, and a login, so that we won't get that mixed up with people who are not, paid to get into the program and understand what it's all about. Anything else there, Carrie, that we need to just reiterate for anybody that might have been late? It's recorded in the Facebook group, and we will organize that in there to where those are pinned and identified.
Yeah, so if you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, there was a text sent out a little bit ago with a link to that. If you didn't get the text for whatever reason, reach out to Dave or I, and we can make sure you're in there. And also, if you haven't been receiving emails for whatever reason, check your bulk mail and add the email address attached to your address book so that they don't go to your junk mail.
And somebody said that, it's been very erratic and robotish. It's been perfectly clear for me this morning, so it might be your own personal internet connection. Hold your hand up if you had a good connection today, you could hear really good. Yeah, so a lot of times the local internet is just, failing. Again, I'm going to unmute this. No questions. Just give a shout out to Dr. Slade for being here and give your gratitude. And we will see you guys next week and on the Facebook group. You should be able to unmute, you guys. Thanks so much, Dr. Slade.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Slade. Awesome.
Great.
Thank you, Sherry and Dr.
Have a
Slade.
great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, God,
Carrie.
from the bottom of our
Thank
hearts.
you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
This is a treat indeed.